Welcome boys and girls, Christine here with a discussion about the Lords of the End Times DLC for Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires, and what Creative Assembly has revealed for this DLC / expansion pack. Yes, it will have Nagash. Yes, you are going to have Valak Harkon, who is going to be a legendary hero. We are also going to be getting Neferata, though based on what Lore Master of Sotek has stated and what Creative Assembly has stated months ago in their blog, Neferata is probably going to be coming out earlier than the Nagash DLC. So my expectations in terms of a timeline is that they release it in summer, as they've stated. It could be early summer, so early June, maybe mid-June, or late August. Those are the kind of periods. They wouldn't release something in the middle of July. People are on vacations, kids are on vacation as well, so there is less of a consumer base during that time period. So it could be late August, it could be early June. Might be even earlier, I would actually hope for that, but they could also delay it until, say, September or October. But they are also going to be doing the Neferata DLC before that. Now, with respect to what will happen to Warhammer 3 after that point, well, this is where Creative Assembly used fairly vague language, because Lore Master of Sotek did ask them, and what he has been told, what he said in his live stream, what he said in the video, what CA said in the video themselves, is like, we're not done, we still have more content to do. Now, my personal perspective on that is, yes, EA is being vague, and they certainly don't want to tell people this is going to be the last DLC, this is where we're going to end it. But exactly what they'll be doing going forward after the Lords of the End Times, that is the big question mark. I think it does tie in to how the new model for Immortal Empires is going to work. Because what's very important here is that Creative Assembly did reveal you will just be able to buy the DLC packs or the expansion pack or individual lore packs and play Immortal Empires. So they're essentially making Immortal Empires a kind of free-to-play, quote-unquote, or pay to be able to play in a certain sense. Like, you don't have to buy the game, you can just buy a pack and play that in Immortal Empires. That would be my read on that. So you don't have to buy Warhammer 1, 2, or 3, or maybe you have to buy one of the games, but it's pretty cheap to get at least one of them, and plenty of people do have that, but they basically want to expand the consumer base. So I think what Creative Assembly does in terms of future DLC content, be it the Monkey King, Yin Yin, Dogs of War, etc., that will depend very much so on how this unfolds. What would I personally expect? Well, it depends on the DLC going forward, it depends on the Neferata DLC, it depends on the Nagash DLC, but I think you do have a game that's been out for several years, we're getting close to the 4-year mark, and you do get to a stage where people just want to move on. And we are not at that stage yet, because there is no other Total War game right now. Once the next fantasy game comes out, whatever it is, could be 40k, could be Age of Sigmar, Star Wars, take your pick. But regardless of that, whichever game it is, that's when you're going to see a shift from Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires players to those other games. That doesn't mean they won't be doing DLCs, but they'll probably do individual Lord packs. So maybe a Dark Elf pack, a Beastman pack, a Lizardman pack, just one Lord, maybe a free LC Lord sometimes, not necessarily always. That does remain to be seen, and really it depends on the resource allocation that Creative Assembly has. One of the things to be said is they clearly have a lot of people working on future Total War games, and they also have a lot of people that have been working on the Nagash expansion. Now, the Nagash expansion in itself is going to contain 4 paid Legendary Lords. Now, the leaks on this indicated that it would be 5. So, 5 Legendary Lords. It would be Nagash, it would be Tankol, it would be Vultan, it would be Glotkin, and Yin Yin. They might have decided to, say, remove Glotkin or Yin Yin. I would expect Vultan, right? And maybe they do Midland as a free Legendary Lord. in that respect with Baris Todbringer or some combination of it. Hard to say on that subject. Or maybe the campaign you start as Baris Todbringer and then you can put Valten in charge of Midland because that's where he died in both Storms of Chaos and End Time. So you could have this situation, you start as Baris, you then go play, you can then replace the Legendary Lord with different faction effects with Valten, or you could just straight up start the campaign as Valten. There are possibilities, many different possibilities on that specific subject. Now, with regards to the map changes, the end times itself, the various crises or various endgame events, the gradual build-up to a global catastrophe that they've talked about in the video, it could be a way to solve the pacing issue, mid-game and late-game issues of Warhammer 3 and make it interesting, though hopefully no global corruption issue. I guess it ties into Creative Assembly's idea, yes, we want to change public order, we want to change corruption. But suffice to say, some people are concerned that it would just be, oh, we're just going to change the visuals when an event happens and it's going to be effects. Though certain regions, certain provinces could be removed from play altogether. We saw a lot of Warpstone, we saw a lot of devastation. The Warpstone is related to what happened in the end times when the Skaven blew up the moon. So a very significant event right there that did happen in the end times. Lots of different possibilities. They haven't mentioned anything in regards to Tank, although they did show quite a bit of Nagash. Also, maybe Cetra will have a rework. I mean, certainly Tomb Kings are going to get something. I would hope for further improvements to the Tomb Kings. They're better than they were before. But really what I would want is an update to the Immortal Empires map. Not just take the same map that we've had for years and just add a bunch of events. Because the map as it is has quite a few issues. So I would hope, personally, that they do take this opportunity to update provinces, maybe make the map bigger. So for instance, the Empire would be bigger, the Bretonnian part would be bigger, Ulfwan, etc. Whether or not they end up doing that, again, depends on allocation of resources. It can be done. I think what Old World campaign mod has shown by Chaos Robbie is it is very possible. Not just adding new provinces, but expanding certain areas, reducing in certain areas, but really just adding more stuff. Make Kislev bigger, make the Empire bigger, Sylvania, Bretonnia, Kemri, etc., etc., etc. That is something I believe Creative Assembly should do. Whether or not they do it, that's the big question mark. One of the things I would say when I was watching their announcement, they talked a lot about cool units and animations and visuals and then, you know, narrative and etc. But they didn't really talk about how do we improve really the gameplay. Like they talked about battles and battle maps, but I would have liked them to at least talk about like, okay, we're going to change the way campaigns play, we're going to improve sieges, auto-resolve, etc. I mean, I guess it makes sense if you're going to have someone like Lore Master of Sotek on the scene, who focuses very much on units and factions and, you know, having cool stuff in it, that you're going to have the discussion from that perspective. But I think what Creative Assembly really does need to focus on is the campaign dynamics, pacing, various game systems. They are not going to change the engine of Warhammer 3. They've made that explicit in the post. Now, you might ask, what about the Mortarchs? Because there are quite a few of them. Well, we might not get every single one of them. Like, they haven't mentioned the Nameless. I don't think I saw him. If there is any character right there, like, you know, Valak Harkon, he's going to be a legendary hero. They specify that. Neferata, probably her own standalone DLC. What about the Nameless? What about other characters? Drakenfels, for instance, etc. That remains to be seen. Abarash, maybe, I think that I got that name right. Yeah, there are many possibilities of characters that they could do stuff with. Maybe just, you know, once they get the vampire counts in a good enough state, they could just, you know, release DLC lords. But this is one of the reasons you need the map bigger, because right now you have this huge concentration of legendary lords on the map, and it kind of doesn't end up working as it is. Okay, so those are some of the things. What about the new units? Look, I'm a campaign guy. I focus on systems. I focus on pacing. I mean, I think CAA does get units right. It's more the dynamics of using them, recruiting them, the campaign pacing that I'm interested in. And I didn't see a lot of that or any kind of that discussion in their announcement. I think that's one of the key areas they should focus on. That's really all I had to say. Does Nagash look cool? Yes, he does look cool. But, cool visuals are great. Narrative focus is great, though I would say we do need more cinematics and throughout that journey, story choices, dilemmas, and not say a Vortex campaign 2.0, but an evolution on various ways that things have been handled in the past with regards to Total War. The idea of a narrative campaign in Total War can work, though I would also stress out that I think CA has the issue of they put all their eggs in one basket until that basket basically breaks apart. That's kind of the problem. Like, I think you don't just need one campaign map. Well, what about the Realms of Chaos? Like, they've talked about the Realms of Chaos battle maps. I mean, I guess it depends on how they do it, but, I mean, the actual realms, cool visuals, but gameplay-wise, the battles were not necessarily great. The battle maps, sure, they look nice, but that's kind of it, right? It's just nice visuals, and I guess that's the one concern, if you will, that I do have with everything they revealed. It's a lot of things focused on visuals. It's a lot of things focused on presentation, but I'm just asking to myself, where's the meat on this? Because that is the important part. Costin signing out. Stay tuned for more.